And we are checking connection. What's up, everyone? Welcome to episode 59, another episode of Marijuana SA Weekly with Dean and
Andy in the house.
We've had a banger week on some aspects, and that has prompted us for our topic of the show tonight. We are speaking about running a cannabis podcast on the podcast.
Literally ran out, and it's the sort of the center of attention of our content. But yeah, with light of what's been going on and what's happened in the last couple of weeks, and I mean, people do ask us, like, what do we do to get to do this, and tips and tricks, and it's not an easy thing to traverse this landscape. We know the Hot Box Show, a fantastic, excellent podcast as well, inspired us a lot, and they have their trials and tribulations with navigating the waters. So that's why we're here. That's what we're gonna discuss, and that's what we're gonna talk about.
Yeah, so I think it's not, maybe that was a bit broad. It's not just about the podcast. Maybe it's more about running the YouTube as a whole, because it's it's a smaller industry to be operating in. So it's a more niche kind of crowd that you're working towards. We're in a fledgling industry within South Africa, so there's that as well. And then on top of it, it's just like so hard to really know what's right and what's wrong. So full disclaimer, we had Andy Quentin Tarantino, the amazing video this week, and put it live, and I woke up the next morning and I was like, looking at my phone, couldn't find it, and then Andy messaged me and he's like, dude, did you see it? And the video had been taken down. So
YouTube gave us
dangerous content.
They gave us the big X, bro.
The big no, so massive bummer just on the week that we're sort of at the crux of our traction as well. So yeah, it rains when it pours, I suppose.
I wanted to use this opportunity to obviously there's an aspiration effect to running the podcast, and like we both of us will say to anyone that wants to do it, do it. It's so much fun. It's so fulfilling in your, like, every orifice, and I don't know, it's like gets you. It's great. It's so much fun. And like, but then there's the downsides, and I never realized how much it could affect us, or me, I'm sure Dean as well, but when that video got taken down, it really threw a span in the loop. So I wanted to explain. So what happens is, obviously the cannabis industry, it's a regulated industry. It's very difficult to know where the line is. It's so easy to put up a video of you maybe hitting a dab or something, and then it's just perceived as a dangerous action, and then they take it down. And there's not much, there's very little warning that they give you. They give you 3 strikes on YouTube, and each strike entails it's a repercussion. So we banned on YouTube for a week, unfortunately, guys. So that's why it's been a little bit quiet. You'll only be seeing this 3 days late because of that. So in 59 episodes, we've never published a late episode, really, and now we're doing that because of the bannage. But yeah, so we've got one strike.
Lost out on the video that got taken down, lost out on Friday's video, so it kind of knocks us everything back a whole week, and knocks off the podcast schedule now as well. So we're going to be sort of ahead on a video now when we're not, well, behind and ahead at the same time. So I honestly thought it was one of the best videos we've made so far. Banger production, lots of thought behind it. I was personally telling everyone about it. Like, check this video, it's going to be great. So we were just like hustling like hard in the office. I was like, can't wait for it to come out. And I was absolutely, I had a whole lot of plans, and now I don't even know what to start or what to do. So I've looked at all my plans for videos and I've sort of vetoed 90% of them.
That's the thing. So as you were saying, I mean, it's that exact thing is what I wanted to emphasize is you now you put in you're in a box again. It's extremely suppressive on our creativity. We can't just put anything up that we feel is fit. Because there's a chance that too many mistakes or misperceptions could lead to the channel being deleted permanently. And I know Freak's also got a strike, and it's probably since then his channel's been almost dead quiet since his last strike.
So we have one strike currently. We got a warning for a video we did a while back in September last year. And kind of looking back at that video, I can kind of see why. And then our first official strike has come now. So as Andy said, a week banning, no uploads, nothing. Secondary strike can come in the next 3 months, and we'll have 2. And if we do hopefully not, we do happen to go for the 3rd, it would mean that our channel would be taken down completely. And personally, I would be depressed after all this time spent on it, and just all the videos. It's a library to go back and see the progression and of information.
It's years of work. Like it's properly years of work. It's not something you could just recreate in a day. We would lose all the subscribers. You'd lose all the traction. I mean, it's served us well as a medium for getting our message out, but it's still not. It's not done yet. It's barely a baby. Just to get that initial traction is so much effort. But yeah, so that's
that initial traction was the hardest, and now that we're seeing a bit of traction, it sort of made it. I mean, it's come at a point where we were seeing the most traction we've ever had. So I think it points to that maybe that now that we are getting scrutinized more. But of all the videos we've put out, I don't think it was the most, it doesn't really.
It wasn't that bad.
The rules don't seem to apply to everyone. It's not like standard because there's so much content going up. We try and maintain like no up close smoking and a whole lot of different things, and then it just comes out and comes for you. And the strikes do expire. If you don't get another strike in 3 months, the strikes will expire and you'll be set back to warning, I suppose.
Yeah. So that's the nice thing. In the past, it wasn't like this. The creators could wake up and boom, their account's just gone. No strikes, no nothing. But that's the problem. So I mean, if you're looking at starting a cannabis podcast or you want to know how to do a cannabis podcast, make sure you know that there's boundaries on what you can talk about and post and video and put on YouTube. But then in terms of the other side of doing a podcast, and maybe Dean will go a little bit more on this, like the trials and tribulations and the fun parts, like the exciting parts of the podcast, like why you should do it, how you should do it. I don't know, but Dean, you crack into that because having a podcast is an absolute blast.
So for those of you who are new to the channel, and there's quite a lot of you, Andrew and I both love podcasts. It's something we both avid about, something we listen to extensively, and then coming into the space, we were aware of the Hot Box Show and big fans of that as well, and we thought that we could bring a different kind of content to the market and maybe do something relatively relevant. So we literally had the opportunity to go onto a sort of like an interview thing. We were speaking about potentially doing it, and we decided to go ahead. And from that moment, I think was the most important. We decided to do it. We spoke about it, and then the following Friday, we started and we filmed with everything that we had at hand. Like whatever we had at hand, we used. It wasn't great. It was ratchet. There wasn't much. I mean, it was legendary. Don't get me wrong. The one moment in there when the French reggae rasta plays and the joints flaring and stuff, it was really, really banger. But it was 2.5 hours long or so. Not great sound. And going from then, the most important thing for me personally has been to just sort of keep it going. If you said you're going to do it once a week, there's no excuse to not do it once a week.
I think from both of us, we would both agree that over and above all, if you're worried about what camera you're going to use or where you're going to do it or sound quality, that doesn't really matter that much. We've seen it. We've both had terrible webcams. We've both had cell phone recordings for the podcast. But the one thing that's really stick date, or that's tied it all together, is that every Friday, come hell or high water, we are 6:30 on the dot. We're sitting at a PC or we're in the studio and we're recording a podcast. Whether it's 2 hours, 30 minutes, doesn't matter. We're just there, and it's going out on Sunday, 4:20. Like, simple as that. And that's how you get the traction going.
Yeah, and that's the most important thing, to make it fun and enjoyable for us who does the podcast, and also for everyone who's watching the podcast. Like, you're not doing it regularly, it's not something you're going to be good at doing, let's say. So unless you're practicing it and putting in that time practicing, even if it's to like 2 people who are watching, it doesn't really matter, Make it, if you want to watch it, if you think about it afterwards, do I want to watch it? Was it good? What did I do right? What did I do wrong? That's all important thoughts to be having. But just putting out that content and making those mistakes, saying that one thing that literally like haunts you for months afterwards. And that's what makes it such a rewarding thing to do. Becomes a certain expectation that you set yourself once a week, once a month. It's that you set the confines of how the product that you want to put out. But just sticking to it and constantly trying to improve makes it a rewarding thing to do. You have content to look back on. You can go back and view episode 1 to 59 in our case, thousands in other podcasters. And I mean, even Joe Rogan, the legend that everyone knows, he's done like 1,400 videos.
That's hard. That's hardcore.
He didn't start off with thousands of people watching him, and he didn't start off a good pro interviewer, I mean, he's good and had skills and whatever, but like everyone starts off somewhere, and if you're not going to be consistent, you're not going to be able to sort of, or you're not going to be rewarded by the process, because it's a massive amount of effort that goes into it.
It really is. And that's the thing. So consistency, and then keep it on time. And then there's some tools that we use that sort of make it a little bit easier. Sharing a little bit of insight. Because Iris last week also is looking at doing a little bit more on the podcasting or getting into some video creation. So if you're interested in the tools that we use for the recording, say like on the Zoom, we use Camtasia, and then for the editing of the videos, we use Premiere Pro. YouTube is obviously a massive platform for us. Instagram's a massive platform, and then Anchor FM is where we transfer it into a podcast medium, but we've been a little bit slack on that. That was a bit of a a once-off. But yeah, we are bringing it back to life soon.
We fell a bit behind on the uploads to all channels, and that's definitely, I think, a negative on our side, because on limiting yourself to one platform sort of holds you back. Say, not everyone is a YouTube consumer. Some people might be a Spotify consumer, and vice versa. So you want to hit all of those channels. But that came on our front. That came to capability, and we just didn't have to maintain the podcast going and everything else that's Marijuana SA is. That wasn't a priority then, but it's definitely still on the cards. Even if you can't do something now, don't forget about it. A good idea is a good idea. Write it down and action it later.
It's on the agenda.
Keep the content going. Keep the content going. Have 2 main platforms where you're gonna pump it hard, and just make sure that your video always gets out there.
And I think
someone mentioned that. Cooking cannabis channels. Like how do they get away with all of that cannabis content? It's full on, but there's no actual smoking in it. I think smoking is the problem in one sense.
It's so difficult to tell, because we made the canna butter one, which I think is like disgusting. I mean, like, you think that soldering was dangerous? Try those canna brownies. Those are fucking the most dangerous thing ever. Like, absolutely, like, wrecked after that. Like, I mean, that's not even. It's just bizarre how they take that down, and it's really affected the mood.
Yeah, and I mean that points to one more point. Like, if you're gonna go into it, you have to be aware that you could lose everything in any moment. And sometimes it's going so well, you don't think about it. But this isn't our first time we've had a problem.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to be the last time we'd have a problem. I hope things get more lenient as everything goes forward.
If they federally legalize in the States, I think it'll have a big impact.
I think so too. I think if the World Health Organization really changes its stance, and if they it becomes better in the States, I think it will be a big difference. But for the time being, there is the platforms to operate in, and in order to put content out there, and people do it successfully, we hopefully doing it relatively successfully as well. Just try to stay current with all of the information that's provided, and try and operate within those spaces. But as you guys can see, we're both super bummed about what's happened, and it does definitely affect the mood and the creativity. And when you're creating, that's definitely not what you want. You want to ride that high, not sort of be caught in the low.
That's what amplified it as well is that's obviously we woke up. The video went out Wednesday morning, which is 3rd of June. So 4th of June, found out that the video was taken down, and then that was in the morning. And then as the day progressed, we proceeded to watch like these thousands of videos appearing on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, whatever, of the protests and riots going down in America, which obviously we wanted to. Me and Dean, spoke about it right away and brought it up, and it's unbelievable what's going on that side, and some of the sites are truly a horror story, unimaginable.
I've seen some of the roughest stuff ever on the internet recently, and it's just like full on police brutality, and like it's just so scary to see. And I'm happy that people in America are standing up for it. And then you look at the stats in South Africa, and we've had so much in our lockdown period arrests. It's been absolutely disgusting. And I stand fully in solidarity with the movement, and hope that we can get some people standing up here in South Africa as well.
South Africa needs it.
Yeah.
I mean, America's got it bad.
230,000 arrests in the 9-week period since lockdown has started. At one point, there was more deaths from like army and police brutality in South Africa than there even was from COVID-19.
Yeah,
and like
army brutality was a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you just got all these armed mofos that have been like deployed now, keen for action, and it's just like people trying to carry out their normal duties in life, and survive the most trying thing that like the country has gone through for a while. Like everyone's experienced.
Those guys all jacked up on fucking gunpowder and whatever they're taking, and they're just like ready to shoot at any moment. It's rough.
It's rough, and I hope that this sort of police control comes to an end soon. I'm glad to see this week more movement and just like no more roadblocks. Like I went through like maybe the most. I repped for like 6 years, and I went through more roadblocks. I was on the road all day, every day, and I went through more roadblocks during the lockdown period than in that whole time combined.
Same. It really motivated me to like go get the car serviced, make sure the wheels are looking good, like because you're getting pulled over all the time. They're checking your license, they're checking everything. But it's all legit now. But we do stand by what's going on. We obviously make sure say no to looting and things like that. We as small businesses, if we got looted, it would devastate our lives like through and through. It
could be the end. Probably would.
If the warehouse got looted, it would be devastating. So I'm sure there's other businesses that are experiencing that have been looted. So I feel for you guys, and I hope that everyone can just stay safe and get along. And also things can actually change from it.
Yeah, I'm hoping that this was a big learning curve for a lot of people, that like community is a big thing, and like just sort of you can't really trust what the gov's saying, especially with like the cigarette ban and just like the way that power has been slayed. It's just sort of play. It seems like profiteering in the lockdown on like a power front. So I hope that everyone out there is staying safe, that everyone survived, and that most people are being able to get back to sort of their normal lives now.
Yeah.
And stay safe from the virus, but more so stay safe from the cops, it seems.
Yeah. And guys, if you want to start a podcast and you want to get it going, I can reach out to us if you have any questions. But yeah, if you're thinking about it, you watched this video and you saw the headline, I want to start a Cannabis podcast. Hope it helped, and yeah, wish you guys best of luck in your cannabis adventures. Send us links if you want to subscribe.
Yeah, guys, just start, get it done. If you get some traction, that's great. If not, keep trying harder. And we want to see loads of guys creating content, or we just want to see awesome information coming out. And this is the time to be getting online. So if you guys are enjoying our content, please subscribe, and you can always reach out to us if you want any tips and tricks. We'll share as much knowledge as we have from our personal experience. And you know that we'll just keep on bringing the content to you every single week.
Hells yeah. Thanks guys for joining for episode 59 of Marijuana SA Weekly. And till next week, peace and love.
Check you for the big 60.